Samuel, the prophet of 2 Kings. The story of the prophet who changed a nation. The miracle of the impossible child. Hannah was crying again. Not for the first time. And certainly not for the last. Every year, the same journey to the temple in Shiloh. Every year, the same pain resurfacing. Every year, the same emptiness in arms that were meant to hold a child. And every year Peninnah, her husband Elkanah's other wife, made sure to remind her of it. How many children do you have, Hannah? Oh right, none. In that culture, infertility was more than a medical condition. It was a social stigma. A sign that people believed God had rejected you. A public shame, worn like an invisible mark. Cursed. Worthless. Forgotten. Elkanah tried to comfort her. Hannah, am I not better to you than 10 sons? He meant well, but he missed the point entirely. This wasn't about replacing a child. It was about purpose. It was about dignity. It was about not being reduced to nothing by a merciless society. The desperate prayer. That year, something broke inside Hannah. Or maybe, for the first time, something finally healed. She entered the temple and did something unthinkable for a woman in that time. She prayed with boldness, with intention, with her whole soul. Her lips moved, but no sound came out. Tears streamed down her face. Her body trembled. Eli, the aging high priest, saw her and assumed the worst. She must be drunk. How long will you stay drunk? He confronted her. And Hannah did something even more radical. She spoke up. She didn't bow her head. She didn't apologize for her pain. No, my lord. I haven't been drinking wine. I am pouring out my soul before the Lord. Pouring out my soul. She wasn't offering a polite prayer. She was making a vow. If you give me a son, I will give him back to you. Every day of his life will belong to the Lord. That is a dangerous prayer. Because sometimes, God accepts it. The impossible birth. Hannah became pregnant. And when Samuel was born, she didn't say, "Finally, I got what I wanted." She said, "I asked the Lord for him." She nursed him. She cared for him. She cherished every moment. And when he was about 3 or 4 years old, still just a child, she did the unthinkable. She took him back to the temple. Picture the moment. Hannah holding the hand of a little boy, standing before Eli. "Do you remember me? The woman you thought was drunk? This is the child I prayed for. And now, I'm giving him back to God." And she left him there. With Eli. In the house of the Lord. She kept her vow. At an unimaginable cost. With radical faith. With absolute trust. A boy in a corrupted temple. Here comes the bitter irony. Samuel grew up in the worst spiritual environment imaginable. Eli was a decent man, but a weak one. A father who failed to correct his sons. Hophni and Phinehas were priests, but they were corrupt, greedy, and immoral. They stole the offerings. They abused women who served at the entrance of the temple. They turned God's house into a place of exploitation. And Eli knew it. He confronted them once, half-heartedly. Then he did nothing. Because in the end, he loved his sons more than he loved God. This was the world Samuel grew up in. A pure child surrounded by spiritual decay. The voice in the night. Samuel was likely 12 or 13 years old when it happened. He was sleeping in the temple when he heard a voice. "Samuel." He ran to Eli. "Did you call me?" "No, my son. Go back to bed." Again. "Samuel." Again he ran to Eli. "You called me. I heard you." "No, Samuel. I didn't call you." A third time. "Samuel." Then Eli realized what was happening. God was speaking, not to priests, but to a boy. "Go back and lie down," Eli said. "If he calls you again, say, 'Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening.'" The terrifying prophecy. The fourth time. "Samuel. Samuel." And the boy answered, "Speak, for your servant is listening." God spoke, but not words of comfort. "I am about to judge the house of Eli. His sons will die on the same day. Everyone who hears about it will be shaken." Imagine the weight of that moment. You're a child. Eli raised you. He loves you. and God chooses you to announce the destruction of his family. Samuel lay awake until morning, afraid to speak. How do you tell the man who raised you that everything he loves is about to fall apart? But Eli insisted. Tell me everything. Don't hide a word. And Samuel told him all of it. Eli responded quietly. He is the Lord. Let him do what seems right to him. The rise of a prophet. From that day forward, Samuel regularly heard the voice of God, and every word the Lord spoke through him came true. The news spread across Israel. There is a prophet again. A real one. And he's still young. From Dan to Beersheba, the nation recognized that God was with Samuel. Meanwhile, Eli's sons continued in corruption, unaware that judgment was near. The fall and the turning point. Israel went to war against the Philistines, and lost. 4,000 soldiers were killed. The leaders came up with a brilliant plan. Bring the Ark of the Covenant. If God is with us, we'll win. They treated God like a good luck charm. Something to control. Something to use. Hophni and Phinehas carried the ark into battle. The people shouted so loudly that the ground shook. But God is not a tool. Israel lost again. 30,000 men were killed. Hophni and Phinehas died, exactly as God had said. And the ark of God was captured. The news reached Shiloh. A messenger arrived, clothes torn, dust on his head. Israel has been defeated. Your sons are dead. And the ark has been taken. When Eli heard about the ark, he fell backward from his chair, broke his neck, and died. He was 98 years old and had led Israel for 40 years. And the word of the Lord was fulfilled. Exactly as spoken. Samuel, the judge. Israel was in chaos. No leadership. No hope. Defeated and humiliated. And Samuel, now a mature man, stepped forward. He called the people and said, If you are truly returning to the Lord with all your heart, then get rid of the foreign gods among you. Serve the Lord alone, and he will deliver you. The people obeyed. They gathered at Mizpah. They fasted. They confessed their sins. And Samuel prayed for them. When the Philistines heard about the gathering, they thought, This is the perfect opportunity to attack. They marched against Israel. Israel panicked and cried out, Samuel, do not stop crying out to the Lord for us. And Samuel prayed. And God answered. The Lord thundered with such power that the Philistines were thrown into complete confusion. Israel struck them down and won a decisive victory. Samuel took a stone and set it up as a memorial, saying, Ebenezer, thus far the Lord has helped us. The mistake that changed everything. Samuel judged Israel for decades. He traveled from town to town, Bethel, Gilgal, Mizpah, administering justice, interceding, and guiding the people. But he made the same mistake Eli had made. His sons did not follow his ways. Joel and Abijah became judges, but they were corrupt. They accepted bribes and perverted justice. So the elders of Israel came to Samuel and said, You are old, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Give us a king to lead us, like all the other nations. Samuel was devastated. He took it as personal rejection. But the Lord said to him, It is not you they have rejected, but me. Ever since I brought them out of Egypt, they have abandoned me and served other gods. Give them a king, but warn them what it will cost. The ignored warning. Samuel warned the people. A king will take your sons and make them soldiers. He will take your daughters to be cooks and perfumers. He will take your best fields and vineyards. He will tax everything you own. And when you cry out because of the king you have chosen, the Lord will not answer you. But the people replied, It doesn't matter. We want to be like the other nations. We want a king. So the Lord said to Samuel, Listen to them. Give them a king. The anointer of kings. God chose Saul, tall, handsome, impressive. Samuel secretly anointed him as the first king of Israel. Later, when Saul repeatedly failed to obey the Lord, Samuel was sent to anoint a replacement. David. A teenage shepherd. The youngest of 8 brothers. So overlooked that his own father did not even call him in when Samuel asked to see all his sons. Samuel became more than a prophet, he became a maker of kings. He anointed the first king. He confronted that king when he turned away from God. and he anointed the greatest king in Israel's history. When Samuel finally died, all Israel gathered and mourned for him. They knew they had lost the last living link to the era when God spoke directly to his people. The legacy of Samuel, the eternal lessons. The story of Samuel is not just about an ancient prophet. It carries timeless truths. First, God hears desperate prayers. Hannah was broken, and God heard her. The most honest, raw, and heartfelt prayers are the ones that reach heaven. Second, God uses unlikely people. A child in a corrupt temple. A teenager confronting established leaders. God ignores credentials and chooses hearts. Third, hearing God requires stillness. Samuel heard because he was quiet, present, and available. In a world filled with constant noise, how many of us still know how to listen? Fourth, obedience to God comes at a cost. Samuel had to deliver a devastating message to the man who raised him. He had to anoint kings he did not want to anoint. Obedience is not comfortable. Fifth, legacy is not automatic. Eli was a priest, yet his sons were corrupt. Samuel was a prophet, yet his sons were unjust. Spiritual faith is not passed down through DNA. Every generation must choose. Finally, sometimes God gives us what we ask for to teach us that it was not what we truly needed. Israel wanted a king. God allowed it. And they paid the price for generations. Samuel lived between two eras, the era of judges and the era of kings. He closed one chapter and opened another. He was the bridge between God's past and God's future. And it all began with a boy who learned to pray. Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. That is still the most powerful prayer any of us can pray.